Guys, mark Haystack app live on Algorand. We are going to be doing a huge segment on that today, people, so keep an eye out for that. And today we're mostly going to focus on Algorand and Hedera news, and I say this as, well, you know, I didn't check since this morning, but markets were actually looking a little bit up after kind of a, no, they're back down. Well, actually a little bit mixed on the 24-hour, but things kind of going backwards a little bit. So just not a huge excitement in crypto. We will get into the charts today. We will look at the Hay token launch and the Haystack app. And I've got a whole bunch of stuff flagged for around payments, around stable coins, having both to do with Hedera and Algorand. And by the way, if it looks a little different, I've got a new light, thanks to my lovely gal who handed this to me, and it looks really nice. I have to say the lighting makes it look so much better. It's night and day difference in my opinion. So anyway, chat really quiet this morning. Used to having a few chats to start with, but a little slow today. You know, I went to play pickleball this morning and nothing. Everybody was gone. I was a little surprised about that. So, yeah, well, it is what it is, but I guess we will get into the news and the charts and all that good stuff. And before we do that, I want to let you know we are brought to you. I'm going to start with Marcus Aurelius this morning. That is an NFT and meme coin project on the Algorand blockchain. And I really love what these guys are doing. They're just, you just can't get over how much effort they put in, how much work. They've been making videos, and the coin, you know, seems to be handled pretty well. So I like that. I think that's awesome. And I'm a big fan of them, so check them out. I do have the link in the description, so be sure to check that out. Cloudy Vibes in the chat says, "Sup, fam? What's going on, brother? I'm out here. Good to see you. Good to see you out here. And we need a few more chatters to join Cloudy and get some conversation going in the chat. Always happy to see that. And if you guys are watching this, if you're watching this on replay, definitely check out. Definitely hit the like and subscribe button. And if you're watching right now, hit that like button, because it helps spread the channel, helps spread the video to more people. And I say that because YouTube is kind of difficult to, with live streams, it just does not send that live stream link out. It's really hard to get that going. Cloudy Vibes holding the Marcus token. I like it. I definitely got some myself, and very happy for my partnership with Marcus. And I did that one first because I also wanted to talk about the Haystack app. The Hay token went live. We're going to get in, we're going to have a whole segment on that, so don't worry. Not like in a segment. It's going to be buried in the Algorand segment when we get to it. But the token launched, and so far holding the line, which is pretty impressive. I'm going to show you a funny comment I got too, that it's like anything you say on Twitter always gets like, yeah, there's always one comment that you're just like, do you drink gasoline? What's going on here? You know what I mean? Like, oh my God. So we will get to that comment because it's hilarious. But launch sold out really fast. And the Haystack app this morning went live. I did not get a heads up that it was going live this morning, but I'll tell you, I already shared that link. And if you're interested in the Haystack app, you know, it's a mobile first experience designed to basically make trading really, really simple. And I got to say, the interface is clean. It's super nice. So they are the sponsors. This is made by Transaction Labs. They are behind non-fungible domains, which was our sponsor. It's the same company as sponsoring. They're just now shouting out, instead of non-fungible domains, they're shouting out the Haystack app. So check out the affiliate link in the description if you're interested. That'll help support the channel. And I believe you'll start getting some rewards too, or maybe like a little less for fees, something like that. And then you'll get your own link, and you can, you know, share that too. And it's pretty neat. So, and then you'll get some rewards. So I'm very excited about the Haystack app. I'm really happy to be promoting it, and I look forward to having you guys share that link around. It'll be really fun. Cloudy Vibe says IPT Marcus LP farming some tiny rewards. Very cool. I had a whole thing on, you know, I should have maybe that should have been my post today. I had a post about Algorand staking versus Ethereum staking, because I learned recently Apparently, Ethereum staking, if you unstake, it takes 15 to 30 days for it to unstake by the time you hit the button. Now, forgive me, but I thought the whole reason we're in crypto so things could go faster, right? So, you know, you send a bank transaction, it takes like 2 days. You send a Algorand to somebody, or you send USDC from one Algorand wallet to another, and it can go all the way around the world and takes like seconds, which is what happened when I had a sponsor send me to Dubai. They sent me, and it was, you know, it was in my inbox or in my wallet in seconds. And then it was another few seconds to send it to Coinbase. And then when I actually converted it to dollars and sent it to my bank, well, that's when it takes a few days. Crazy, right? Weird thing, by the way, I must have a few on Kick because for whatever reason, the Restream is not counting X. So it's not even showing X. It looks like it says I have 0 watchers on X, which I know is not true. By the way, thanks to everyone getting us over that 6,000 mark. That was a big milestone. And oh, now it's showing up. Yeah, I got like 20 plus. That's a good start. We'll probably get that over 100 by the time the stream is over. Anyway, big shout out to getting us over 6,000 subscribers. And then we got to like, we're actually at 6,152 right now. So we really grew fast after hitting 6K. We hit 6K and then it really exploded after that. Awesome to see, guys. Really appreciate that. Yeah, weirdly, still not counting X viewers, and that's new, but I can't get over how sharp the image is, how clean the color is. The color's like awesome. And that's no doing on my part. That is my new lady friend gave me that light, which is really cool. And she's in media as well. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, light looks fantastic. It's a incredible gift and it's wonderful. So anyway, I guess I don't have much else to say, but I do want to say if you haven't liked and subscribed already, please do so. If you're watching on X, you can comment. I will get those comments, I hope. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I was still getting the comments even though the view count wasn't showing up. So definitely leave some comments. And I know it's a little bit difficult, but if you can retweet the stream, X needs to make it way easier to retweet a stream, for sure. That's one thing I will say 100%. Definitely got to make that way easier to retweet. But if you can retweet it, like it, if you find it, you can find it on my profile and do that. I appreciate that. And if you're watching on Kick, you know, we love subscribe. We'd love to start having some subscribers on there. I have some followers. And we must have a pretty decent little crowd. There's at least 3 or 4 of you I can do just from process of elimination here. I think Restream has to fix that stuff for sure, because I can't see. They show up in the view count, but there's no view if I pull up the little window that shows me who's viewing on what. But yeah, X still saying 0, and it used to work. I don't really understand that, but. All right, well, I'm blabbling. I don't have much else for chat other than we got Cloudy Vibes is going to definitely win. I think you're going to win the top chatter award unless some more people come in. But I wish there was something more interesting in the markets today. I really do. But this is it, and it's not great. It's not great. We are up. Now we are up. We're still under 4 trillion in total market cap. At 0.81% up on the 24-hour. The coin market cap 20 is actually up 1%, which is very interesting. And also, why isn't that the 50 or the 100? I wonder why they put the 20 up there. That's very interesting. We are actually, now we're in neutral territory as far as greed and fear is concerned, but we're actually almost into fear territory. We're just a little over that line into neutral, which is crazy because this is supposed to be the bull run, right? And this is why I've been saying I really think we are in flattening cycles. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. I don't think we're going to see the same crazy bull runs, but this is still pretty good. I mean, looking, most of my average buy is like 30 something for Bitcoin. So, I mean, 3x, that's really hard to complain about. Ethereum, I don't even know actually what my Ethereum is. I moved it over to my Algorand wallet, so I don't even know what my Ethereum total is. Tether, XRP up a little bit. You know, this is pretty common. You know, some outliers here. We got Cardano up 2.3%. We got Hyperliquid up 325%. And Chainlink had some huge news recently, and they're just sitting flat. You know, actually down on the week. So I've been saying, like, the news just really doesn't affect crypto the way it used to. It used to be really, really wild. You know, a good news story could really pump a crypto price. That's just, those days are gone, I think. With some exceptions. We have seen some exceptions. Remember when Hedera pumped to 18 cents on the news that it was partnered with BlackRock, and then BlackRock got kind of walked that back a little bit, which I thought was strange, but because they did approve the press release apparently, so really strange there. But yeah, everything's either up like maybe 2% or it's just flat. Trying to look for something that's like an outlier. The World Liberty Financial, Trump's coin, after being down 20% on the week, is up 5% on the 24-hour. That one actually might get impacted by the news a lot. Just kind of looking for some other outliers here. Mantle at 4.4%. Say at like 4.6. So here, Meme Core, I haven't heard of this one. It was up 12, actually up 209% on the week. Probably a pretty new entrant into the top 100 that I can see. Yeah, some of these are like, well, you know, Pump.Fun up 30%. That one had a huge crash not that long ago, so that's interesting to see. Where's Bobby Jonas is going to be loving this XTC price. Bobby, for those that don't know, Bobby Jonas, one of my favorite trolls. Not one I kick out. I actually enjoy his banter. We go back and forth. It's fun. Aerodrome Finance up 7.8, almost 7.5% on the week, 7.5 there. I skipped over Algorand, didn't I? What was it? By the way, sitting around 50, it's been sitting around 49 to 51, and we know it had been like 45, 44 before, so it's up a little bit, but not by much, 1.58%. Celestial 3.5. Yeah, otherwise, like I said, everything on the weekly chart is up maybe 2-3% at best. Got a few outliers, but it's not a really bullish market right now, and average crypto RSI is sort of in between territory between oversold and overbought. So why don't we go over to Vestige? Totally different price than CoinMarketCap. That's really interesting. If those are two exchanges, I mean, you'd have an arbitrage opportunity, but I wonder why it's so different. Haystack, you know, kind of sitting flat. We're going to dive into that one, so stay tuned. Tiny just keeps going down. I just refuse to take rewards in Tiny anymore. I've totally switched. I'm back to ready pools because I'm so sick of it just going down and down and down. And it just makes sense to be set up for this bull run if it ever actually happens. Let's see, any outliers on the top? You know, we got DeFi, how would you even say that? I mean, I get the play on words here, but I'm not sure like how you'd actually pronounce that. Vestige, the Vestige coin is actually up 3.3%, but you know, all this is on the backdrop of most of these are way down on the week. By the way, you know, quietly, you know, when did they add this? Because remember how I was always asking for the 7-day? You know, I don't think I gave them a proper shout out for finally adding the 7-day to the chart. So good for Vestige. D-Algo, now that's a little bit of a surprise at 24% on the week and up a little bit. Also, Akina Inu doing really well, up 7% on the daily chart and 11% on the week. That's awesome. And then we got this new liquid, you can't see it, but this new liquid hog here. Liquid hog, I guess it's called. We just keep getting more of these coins. We don't need more meme coins, but whatever. So that one's had quite a little pump, but it's brand new, so that's going to happen. So I want to take a little look at the Haystack coin. I'm going to pull that up here, and I called this a flag pattern because it just went up and then kind of held steady. And someone was like, well, yeah, but the volume. He's like, well, the volume went flat, but there's a flag pattern. I'm like, yeah, well, those aren't mutually exclusive. But also, it didn't go like this. You know how like every ASA pumps up and then it crashes down. This one did not crash down. Despite the, lower volume, obviously. Volume actually kind of going... Well, actually, I'm not entirely sure because they have red and green, which is interesting, but that might be related to the charts. But the volume is actually increasing. But this has just stayed pretty flat. And this looks... You know what else looked like this? Is alpha. So let's go back to look at alpha. Oh, my bad. Which kind of took a bath recently, which is interesting. But let's go zoom out to the daily chart, show it. Yeah, so this was the beginning of alpha. And you notice a very similar pattern. Very similar pattern. Because and why is that important? Because these two coins kept the same tokenomics. They're both handled the same way. And we're going to get into that when we get into the Haystack. When we talk about Haystack a little more, we're going to go through the white paper and we're going to go through some of the things that are similar, because basically there's a burn option. There's no insider tokens at all, which is great. We'll get into all that stuff. And also, like, there's rewards for holding it. So you get better deals on your trading fees the more you hold. So you have an incentive to hang on to it. One of the things that happens with a lot of these coins is, like, if those coins are the reward, then you have a lot of sell pressure because everyone's incentivized to take this coin and sell it. And that just ends up, that's why you see the big pump up and you see the big crash down. And both of these have been able to avoid that. But that being said, yeah, this isn't fun. No one likes this. I mean, I got to tell you, when I was up here, I really wanted to take profits. And if it weren't for the experiment and keeping the integrity of the experiment, I definitely would have taken profits, because I put $100 in as an experiment. And at one point it was worth like over $350. So that's pretty good. Yeah. Is there anything else to zoom in on here? I don't necessarily know that there is. I mean, you got a couple new ones. You got a big balls. I mean, we know what reference that's in reference to. Tiny keeps crashing. I'm not a fan of that. I don't know much about Panda Chain or Sandman AI, but I do know that when you see this little ninja here, that means that it was released on Rug Ninja, which tries to do their best to set things up so that we can actually explore to that. Let's see if we can, yeah, this is Rug Ninja, and this is set up so that it's an attempt, at least, to keep the coins from rug pulling. Now, that doesn't always work, but it makes it, Algotardio, or ATARD was the coin. This one actually was a good example of one that kind of got rug pulled, kind of. Oh, there's Panda Chain. Kind of got rug pulled, but also, like, the founder wasn't able to rug very many just because of the way this is set up. And so that's a good thing. In fact, we can look at that chart. Let's go back. Let's go back and look at that chart. There we go. There's the daily. Let's go weekly on this one. It's going to be a lot easier. So this is I think it was around here that it actually rugged. So it kind of followed that similar, you know, what I call the boot pattern, where it goes way up, usually comes way back down. This one didn't quite. This is actually holding somewhat stable, and then the rug happened, and it crashed a lot. But then the community kind of took the coin back over, and we're able to at least stem the tide. You know, it still kind of followed that general boot pattern, but you know, not quite to the same level. So it's kind of an interesting testament to Rug Ninja that they weren't able to fully rug it, which is awesome. All right, well, I think we're going to start getting to our segments here. And I'm trying to decide if we're going to go to... I'm going to do Algorand or H-bar first. By the way, we are getting a nice little audience on X. I really wish X had some monetization. That'd be awesome. Actually, before we get to any of our segments, I want to talk about a couple of kind of broader crypto things. And we got some really, I'm really irritated with Gary Gensler news. And this is going to be interesting because, dang, dude, I think we all knew that Gary Gensler was corrupt and we were not fans of him. If you're in crypto, you were not a fan of Gary Gensler. And this just proves why. He clearly put his thumb on the scale. He had it out for crypto. We all know that. We all know who he's getting his marching orders from. And he was very much subservient to the anti-crypto crowd. Which, listen, if you're, you know, if it's about like making sure that scams don't happen, I'm all about that. Like I want scammers held accountable too. But that's why you need to allow crypto and regulate it versus just basically outlaw it, and then it goes overseas and you have no enforcement action. But also I'm skeptical of Gary Gensler because of all the people he gave Coinbase the hardest time, even though from what I can see, they were always trying to do the correct thing. They were trying to follow the law. When they get a Wells notice, they're like, okay, well, what's not in compliance and how can we become in compliance? They basically send a letter back saying, nope, too bad. It's like, how is that serious? I just don't understand how that happens. I really don't. It's just baffling to me how that can be like an actual stance that a regulatory agency takes. Basically, it was like we refuse to regulate you. They left the rules murky so that they could just shut people down willy-nilly without any real rules in place. It's crazy. Well, we found out Gary Gensler up to his old tricks, apparently, and just one more reason why I think he's full of crap. And we're going to look at that. Let's look. Yeah, so this is from Eleanor Terrett. She is she's a former Fox Business News host, journalist, and host of Crypto America, citizen of the US and UK, apparently. And she has some really great information, but this is awesome. According to a new SEC Gov IG report, nearly a year's worth of text messages from former chair Gensler archives, this is Gary Gensler, apparently he changed it to archive, were permanently lost due to a series of avoidable, in quotes, technological failures by the agency's Office of Information Technology. The text included one sent and received by the former chair on his government phone between October 18th of 2022 and September 6th, 2023. Well, that is very convenient. That is almost a year's worth of texts that are just gone. And we have a full report. You can see here I said, gee, I'm shocked, absolutely shocked. Good riddance. Gedler, protagonist in the chat says A0 recovery. Don't miss it, lads. Still very cheap. Privacy. It's new gold. Yeah, it's probably not. Anyway, sorry, man. I don't show coins in my chat. Okay. So I said, gee, I'm shocked. Absolutely shocked. Good riddance, Gensler. Yeah, we all agree with that. Wendy-o. How convenient. Yeah, it's really convenient. Gee, all the text messages disappeared. What a surprise. What a freaking surprise. Let's see. Special review. Avoidable errors led to the loss of former SEC Chair Gary Gensler's text messages. Attached is the Office of Inspector General is the Office of Inspector General final report detailing the results of our special review of the loss of the former U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission Gary Gensler's text messages. The report contains 5 recommendations that should further strengthen the SEC's management of mobile devices and federal records. I get why they write it this way. I frankly do not believe for 1 second that this is accidental. I just don't. When evidence disappears, I mean, okay, it's possible. Let's be clear. It's possible. I just doubt it. On July 23rd, 2025, we provided management with a draft of our report for review and comment. In its August 22nd, 2025 response, management concurred with our recommendations and submitted planned corrective actions with timeframes. We have included management's response as Appendix 2 in the final report. We appreciate the courtesies and blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, I think there should be, for losing these text messages, there should be some serious consequences. Now, listen, I'm an open records advocate. And if the same thing, just to be clear, this is not political, because if the same thing happened under the new SEC chair under Trump, I would say the same thing. Like, the point is, you need to preserve records when you're in government, and the loss of them is, frankly, criminal in my opinion. I am a huge free speech advocate. I'm a huge First Amendment, and that also means open records. I'm a big open records, government transparency. Very, very important. And they did this because on January 17th of 2024, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission reported to us that about 4 months earlier, the agency erased nearly a year's worth of text messages sent and received by then SEC Chair Gary Gensler. Now, let's look at this. This is from, the Inspector General got this report in January, and they're first releasing this now. That makes me think, now I could be wrong. They could have been reviewing it this whole time. But I suspect that this is the new administration came in and decided to start looking at this. Yeah, by the way, I had the same criticisms when I was very excited about having pro-crypto regulation. And I was not excited that the president decided to launch a meme coin on day one. I was like, this is not what I asked for. I wanted sensible regulations. Instead, we got a guy dumping a meme coin and then another Melania coin after that. So, it's kind of a mixed bag, because I do think the team in place that's working on crypto regulations is smart. I think they're trying to do the right thing. I think they're trying to make sure that, there's actual regulation. Although it's possible it's going to be shaped by the fact that the president owns his own meme coin. Anyway, so I think the why here. Okay, I think this paragraph is interesting. Let's look at this. Although the SEC took steps to recover or recreate the deleted text messages, the agency was unable to collect or determine the entire universe, including some federal records. And not good. Since notifying our office, the SEC has disabled text messaging agency-wide with some exceptions, notified the National Archives and Records Administration in June 2025 of the lost records, and taken additional steps to back up Capstone officials' records and data, among other actions. Don't these live somewhere? I thought text messages actually live somewhere besides your phones. Like, I thought the the company has them somewhere, don't they? I don't know, like, I don't know what cell phones are like at that level. I imagine that there's all kinds of regulations, and it's like a really specialized service to provide cell phones to the government because there's like really specific security requirements. Records management, I imagine, is an issue, although maybe not as much as it should be since we're reading this. Anyway, however, the loss of Gensler's text messages may impact the SEC's response to certain Freedom of Information Act requests, which is my point. Like, I think open government and records requests are really important, and this is not good. Yeah, apparently there's a lack of backups and procedures that fail to consider record retention requirements for capstone officials. Well, this is why I'm saying, and it exacerbated the situation and hindered the SEC's response. This is why I think there needs to be some consequences of some kind. You can't just like ignore records requests. You can't just like drop the ball on records. You just can't. It's very frustrating. So yeah, in case you still didn't hate Gary Gensler, you absolutely should. But you know, it's kind of like kicking a dead horse. He's gone. It's just one more nail in the coffin. One more reason to like not think very highly of Gary Gensler. So, you know, like I said, color me surprised. Color me surprised. Francine Cook in the chat. What says go Algo? Thanks for being here, Francine. I appreciate that. And good to have people here. We got a lot of great news coming up, and I'm kind of deciding where to start, where to go next. We can either do, actually, I think, was there something else? Yeah, let's, actually, I'll say what, we're talking about some SEC news, and we got new news from the current SEC and CFTC, and let's, it's a joint statement, so why don't we take a quick look at this too before we move on. This is again from Eleanor Terrett, former Fox Business News host, and she is currently the journalist and host of Crypto America. Just in, the SEC, Gov, and CFTC are ramping up coordination to support crypto, DeFi, prediction markets, perpetual contracts, and portfolio margining. And this is really cool. I think a lot of these are going to have to be handled differently. Prediction markets, I am concerned about gambling. You know, I've never taken any kind of sponsorship from gambling sites. I know Algorand Casino at one point was interested in that, and they wanted to come on the show. I think I probably could have gotten a sponsorship from them, but I didn't want to like promote gambling. I'm surprised at how many podcasters these days are hosting gambling stuff. It actually kind of amazes me. So that has to be handled different than DeFi, which, you know, also could be technically gambling. Interesting fact. So I know we talked about the stablecoin legislation and, you know, the Genius Act, and how one of the ways they were able to get the stablecoin legislation passed is that they didn't allow earning yield from the stablecoins. However, from what I understand, there are so many loopholes around that there's not really much they can do. You can do that on Folks Finance right now. You can deposit USDC and get yield on it. So I don't know. Somehow that's legal, or they're not getting in trouble, or I don't know. So I've heard there's plenty of loopholes around it. So you just really don't worry about it too much. Anyway, the two agencies are aiming to harmonize rules, reduce regulatory gaps, expanding trading hours, and use innovation exemptions to keep U.S. markets competitive. And that's really the thing. You want to keep them competitive. We want U.S. to be in the game. That doesn't mean a free-for-all. Yeah, I do want regulations. I do. Looks like Eleanor is live now talking about Gensler's missing text. We might come back and like listen a little bit if they're still going on when we're done with our segments. So anyway, this is, I just want to add this, you know, so we're talking Paul Atkins, who, as far as I can tell, is a far better SEC chairman than Gensler was. And new acting chairman, Caroline D. Pham, P-H-A-M, who is the part of the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission, which makes sense, CFTC. So like, I think this is a great example because this is like the, you know, the villain and the hero. We start with the villain and then we get to hero. So I think that's awesome. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the new administration and how they're handling crypto. I don't like everything they're doing, obviously. Well, maybe it's not obvious, but I don't. I'm always skeptical of every administration, and I think everybody should, you know, because they're just not all going to be above board. It's just not how it works. All right, how's everyone doing? Let's look. Let's take a little break, and I'm gonna pull up the leaderboard. I can guess. Big guess is that Cloudy Vibes is leading the chat right now. So. Let's see. The leaderboard, I can guess. Yep, Cloudy Vibes number 1, and Cloudy Vibes at 75 experience points, hitting number 1 with Protagonist and Purple Rain. That is Francine at number 2 and 3, but both tied, technically both tied at 25 experience points. So great to see that. We got 6 likes. Let's try to get that up to 10 if we can. So if you haven't hit the like button already, please do so. And by the way, if you're not subscribed, you know, hey, feel free to subscribe to the channel. That's always great. So appreciate that. And let's see what do we got next. I think we're gonna do some. Algorand news. And I want to start off with the Haystack app on Algorand because I am super excited about this. Now, Haystack is a sponsor of the channel, so we definitely want to make that clear. I want to be 100% sure that everybody knows that. As you know, in fact, they were, so it's Transaction Labs is behind it. They're the ones behind non-fungible domains. So it's the same company, but they're having me, they no longer want me to shout out non-fungible domains, but you should get a .algo address. It really makes doing things in Algorand so much easier. And so I still recommend that, even though, you know, now I'm supposed to promote Haystack. I still think that's great. I mean, I actually use it all the time. But Haystack is live now, and why don't we look a little bit at this? Actually, hold on. And what I want to start with first is $200,000 in 8 seconds. Are you following Hey.app, which is a Haystack app launch imminent? Well, that is today. We will get to that, but like, this is how much sold out. 10,000 Hey sold in, which is $200,000 worth, sold out in 25 seconds. That's how long you had. That's how quick it went, which is wild. People are very excited about that. So that was awesome. I mean, that made it a very tough coin to get, didn't it? Yeah, for sure. Cloudy Vibes with the algo shout out. I appreciate that. I saw your other comment too. Appreciate that. I totally agree. And now it's actually live on the Apple Store. It's actually live on Google Play as well, I believe. And so, and if you already had it with playtest, I actually had a playtest version. I downloaded the new version, and I think it just replaced the old version. So that's something to keep in mind. But I think it's live on both. I have it on the App Store, and we probably have a post about that. There's kind of what it looks like. It's really simple to use. Now, one of the tricky things is I can't pull it up on the computer because it's a mobile-based trading app, and if you hold the Hey token, you get cheaper trading fees, which is really cool. Everybody, by the way, here's a better chance of what it looks like. Really great interface. I mean, you got 3 tabs. I like that. Very simple. You got you got a trending tab here. Like I said, we shouted out Akina Inu. If they ever get, by the way, if they ever get a non-mobile version, if they get a web version, and I don't think they will, I don't think that's the goal, but if there's ever a web version, I would totally use their app instead of the other one. Oh, we skipped over Hedera. We skipped over the Hedera charts. Oops. My bad, but let's go to, actually, hold on. I want to show you guys some stuff from the white paper because this is pretty big. Yeah, it's a mobile first DeFi on Algorand, and it's the first mobile native DeFi experience on the Algorand blockchain, which I think is true. Maybe you could say DeFi was though, but I think that was more of a wallet. This isn't exactly a wallet, it's a trading app, so I guess that is fair. By pairing institutional grade infrastructure with consumer friendly design, it removes traditional barriers to participation while preserving the core principles of security and self-custody. And actually it was pretty easy to send some algo to my Haystack app. All you did is copy an address and you can go right to Para and send it to that address and boom, it's in your wallet. And by the way, as I say this, I have if you guys are interested in checking this out, I have a link in the description, and that is an affiliate link, so you'll be supporting the channel while checking out this new app. So I highly recommend it. I appreciate it in advance of anyone who wants to do that. And I think this is great. Mobile first reality, 78% of crypto users primarily access services via mobile applications, which is funny. Yet most DeFi protocols remain desktop centric. I actually like, I'm going to be honest, I actually like desktop better, especially because I also do my tracking on a Google spreadsheet when I do my experiments. So it's actually kind of nice to do it on web, but I can see both. It is easier doing stuff like right from the Para wallet. So if I do something on TinyMan, a lot of times I can do that right in the Para wallet itself, which is really cool. So anyway, I'm going to skip over some of these things, but this is some of the features. Frictionless onboarding, which I think is totally true. Really, really easy to use. Mobile first, yep, obviously. Universal liquidity aggregation. The Deflex router intelligently routes orders across all available liquidity sources, ensuring the best execution on swaps. That's huge. That's kind of the thing that the Transaction Labs folks really specialize on. Sustainable token economics. And we're going to get into that. Automated buy and burn mechanisms and no private sales. That's what I'm talking about. And then referral mechanism, that's what I'm talking about. A lifetime 25% revenue share on all trading fees generated by referred users. So you guys want to use my referral code, and then you want to start sharing yours around. So that's what you want to do. And we're going to grow this thing, but we're also going to like grow our own bags at the same time. So I'm going to skip a lot of these. I want to get to the tokenomics. See if I can find that. Oh yeah, here's the tokenomics. So there's 100 million total supply, and that sounds like a lot, but I mean, that's pretty low compared to a lot of coins. Considered a utility. Here's the ASA. Here's the creator token. Here's the wallet right here, so you want to check that out. So 35% to the community. Public sale. And there's 3 tranches. The first one happened already, and like we said, it sold out immediately. The team, there's 20% to the team. So I may have misstated that. What I meant is there's no like VC, there's no private sales to VC people, people who are going to dunk as soon as it goes live, because that's what happens. But the team has like 20%. They are on a 1-year cliff and a 3-year cliff vesting, 3-year vesting. So there's that. Some for the liquidity, 10% for the liquidity. That's with DEXs and centralized exchanges. And then marketing, 5% or 5 million Hay tokens. So I'm going to be, just so you know, I'm going to be getting paid in Hay token from them for our sponsorship from now on. So it was USDC, it is going to be Hay, and I'm part of that 5%. That's where I come in. So here's the tranches. It already sold at 2 cents. And the next one's going to sell at 4 cents. And there's going to be a little bit more, 15%. And then the other one, the third one at 6. 1 week cooldown period between tranches. So we'll probably see that next Wednesday. And then you can see the fee discounts you have for holding Hay. So the more Hay you hold in US dollar, the more percentage you get. So yeah, definitely check this out. Like I said, the link is in the description. If you want to check this out, you can get it. If you're on desktop and you hit the link, it will bring up a QR code so you can scan with your phone. I tested that out this morning. Or if you do it on mobile, you know, it'll just take you right to the App Store and that will count. So here's like the trading fees, so you can see how much that goes down. And yeah, so basically I'm really excited about Haystack. I think this is awesome. And keep an eye out because actually you can connect your wallet and you can actually trade right in the app too. I didn't know that. Very cool. So that's the Haystack app. It went live today, guys. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. But let's go back to our bookmarks. We got more Algorand news. Not all of it super positive, but that's good. I think that's good. Let's make sure I'm not missing any. This is big. So, and actually, hold on. This is the second one. Let me get to the first one. Did I mark that? Maybe I didn't. Yeah, here's the first one. So we got a little problem with Compex now. I've been in touch with the Compex people. Generally, they're really cool people. I think they have the right idea about things. Some stuff with the UI that I don't care for is the only reason I'm not using it personally yet. But I need to check up on it again because my idea is like I'm going to check up on them every once in a while to see if they. Basically, one of the big issues is tracking in crypto. It's really hard to track things with crypto. A lot of these platforms, they just don't give good metrics to see how you're doing. So anyway, this is a really important update. Out of an abundance of caution, we advise all users currently staked in Compex staking pools to remove their staked tokens. This does not affect the algo staking consensus pool. So that's different. This is like the... you know, this is for like staking rewards, like actual staking Algorand, but this is like a different, their staking pool, their personal staking pools. We believe we have isolated the issue which affected our Genesis pools, but we want to ensure your tokens are safe. So we'll be taking all staking pools offline, bar the algo consensus pool, until an internal audit and review is completed on all staking pool code. This is yesterday that they posted, yesterday afternoon. We request all creators of Genesis pools to end their pools as soon as they can, and this will stop any further deposits. Thank you for your patience. Please contact us via DM or Discord if you have questions. So sorry to see that, and that's really a bummer. Let's see what the update was now. Also really weird that it jumped down like that. Okay, in light of the recent issues surrounding staking pools, actually this was first. So actually this was the first one. First it was DOD and Max. DOD is died of dysentery, which is kind of a cute little coin. They've been really quiet lately though. I wonder what that's all about. And we'll be in contact with pool creators to end these pools to prevent further staking. Now it's all of them. They're just taking all of them out, so... But this was the first one. I actually should have started this one, but I thought it was, for some reason, I thought this was the update and the other one was the first one. We had this with Cometa too, by the way, and I don't know if I finally got all my stuff off of Cometa. It took a few days, but if you haven't gotten your stuff off of Cometa, just do it because they're basically unwinding it. And you don't want to be stuck on it when that stuff starts happening, so... just something to keep in mind anyway, that you should be careful of all of these right now. So yeah, if you got stuff staked on Compex, get it off right now. And then what else do we got? There's other algo news, I thought. Let me keep going. And you know, the reason I titled it is because the title of the video, the way I did is because there is this ongoing battle with payments. You know, Hedera has some great payments news, and we're going to get to that in a minute, but we also got big news for payments on Algorand, and this is payments on Algorand powered by CPant Mobile. And this is a pioneering trade tech company focused on Africa, powering African cross-border trade by offering cutting-edge solutions. The African neobank joined the Algorand Accelerator in July and now has gone live on mainnet. already processing 50,000 plus monthly with instant low-cost transfers. CPAN is scaling across Africa and building new corridors to China, Turkey, and the United Arab Emirates with USDC on Algorand. And by the way, this is what I talk about when I talk about, you know, why innovation is important on crypto. Like for us in the US, and, you know, I don't want to assume, I know I have a lot of people from a lot of different countries, but if you're in the US or like one of the, you know, one of the more advanced European countries or Canada or whatever, you might not be worrying about this. Actually, maybe Canada you would, but a lot of it, you might not be worrying so much about having access to payments. But you got to understand, for Africa, a lot of African places, a lot of people in Africa, this makes a huge difference, because you might not have access to a bank. A lot of people in Africa live on their phones. Their phone is their lifeline. It is their source of income, and their source of, it's their bank. Their bank is basically their phone. And so having this is a big deal. Now, 50,000 USD in monthly volume is not a lot, but when you consider like the cost of living in Africa, that's like quite a bit of money actually. So very cool. I like to see this. I don't know what the corridors to China, Turkey, and UAE mean exactly. I don't know if anyone, I just included a little thing for the accelerant. Nameless says, I got them both stupido patain. I don't know what that means. Anyway, Compact's not shutting down, but they are undergoing an audit, so be sure to unstake. No, Cometa is shutting down. Compex is not shutting down. Those two things sound very similar. I didn't say the wrong thing, did I? Sorry if I did. No, Cometa, you should be getting your stuff off of. Cometa has been shutting down for a long time, but Compex is not shutting down. Compex is wants to undergo an audit, and they think they isolated the issue, but they want to be 100% sure. So yes, if you are staked in Compex, you should unstake right now until and then restake once the audit is clear. Now, is that my last one? I think that might be one more. I'm really sorry that all the Algorand news is maybe not the best, but the Inimu game, which is an idle farming game, I haven't even heard about this game for a really long time. So that I wasn't sure when I started covering this. I think I covered this like 2 years ago. Maybe early like 2024 or something like that. So almost 2 years ago. And I couldn't get the sense, is this just a Discord game, or is there like actually like gameplay involved? But apparently there was a Sparky Tap September 4th incident. I don't know what that is. Green Blue Algo says, when, folks? Yeah, I don't know. There's talk about it, but I haven't seen anything official. They got points instead. Anyway, postmortem Sparky Tap September 4th incident. An exploit in the in-game buy function allowed a user to drain 23,922 algo from liquidity. That function has now been permanently removed. Recovery actions: treasury funds deployed to a buyback bot, actively rebuilding liquidity. LPs re-added 145 billion tokens recovered via OTC. Game is live again. So first off, I find it interesting that it must be a Discord game because they're linking to the Discord, which is, I'm not a big fan of Discord in general. And I did start a channel thinking like maybe I would eventually use that for my crypto, for the channel in some way, but it's just too much to keep up with between X and YouTube. Like that's enough, I think. I just want to see if this is like, let me go to this because I'm just not clear. I mean, it still says, okay, a heartwarming and tranquil farming sim game that invites you to escape city life and embrace the serene beauty of rural living. Play for free. And then you can but it's coming soon. So, but the other thing said the game is live. I'm very confused. Anybody actually play this game? Sean Vogel saying Algo would be a big player in the new financial system. Absolutely. I think there's going to be a lot of them. I think Hedera will be too. Ooh, my voice. Ooh. Apparently them in stress testing. Well, the last update here is November 2024. So they haven't been keeping up with the news. Well, back in July, they said this month we took a short break from Inu Mu Dev to take part in the Algorand and Bolt hackathon. The goal is to build a focused project in just 1 month. From that, we built Sparky Tap, a fast-paced click-to-burn game and community experiment where the goal is to collectively burn through 1 trillion tokens, Algorand's first clicker game. Okay, so is that what they're talking about? Relevant part for Inu, a portion of all algo revenue from Sparky Tap will go directly into the Inu treasury. By the way, that's like Inu is dog, right? So it's like dog moo. It sounds cool, but I think it's kind of a meaningless word. So I actually am somewhat fluent in Japanese. I studied it for 8 years, mostly on my own. I did have a year of college, but I pretty much had already taught myself. Very strange. So apparently that's what it is. So it was the Sparky Tap game and not their own game. That's why. Okay. That stuff scares me. Like people have said you should make one. I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. Green says, Cloudy Vibe says, yeah, they've been working on their game for a long time. Yeah, it looks like it. Green Blue says, can you smart folks develop something other than DeFi or liquidity farms? I have 2 genius ideas, but no dev talent. Exactly. Everything is, well, I'd say everything is DeFi. Well, in fact, those 2 things are like not that different. Everything is either DeFi or it's a game, and half the time the games don't come out. Like, where's Age Your Tactics? Where's Age Your Tactics? It's actually you can wishlist it on the Epic store right now. I don't know if you guys know that. But yeah, why these things just don't come out? I don't understand. I played a demo and it was a very good working demo of Age Your Tactics at Decipher in 2022. It is now 2025. And frankly, we're getting close to we're getting very close to 2026. I don't understand what took so long, to be honest, because the game seemed pretty much playable. Like I didn't see a lot that I was like, oh, that's not ready yet. Like everything was pretty much ready. It's very strange. Yeah, because Green Blue Algo says I play off the grid on AVAX. Yeah, I haven't heard of that one. I don't do much on AVAX. Definitely seeing a lot more AVAX lately though. Sean Vogel says we're getting close to folks. Frugal BC is one smart dude. Well, I appreciate that. I try my best, you know. I'm just a guy trying to figure this stuff out, and my whole goal is to try to understand this and come. I always wanted to come from crypto. By the way, I'd say that's the end of our Algorand segment, so I appreciate that. I always wanted to come into crypto with fresh eyes and come at it from first principles. Like I didn't want to make assumptions that everything I had heard about crypto was correct. Like I wanted to kind of go from the ground up and decide what works, what doesn't work, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, etc. And so that's been my goal from day one. And that's why I bring that to you, because you know what? A lot of stuff didn't make sense. Like when I first got into crypto, first it was just buying, you know, Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin. And then I started hearing about stuff like yield farming. I was like, well, that sounds good. You can make all this money just holding coins and holding pairs. Like, well, that makes sense. Why wouldn't I do that? You know? And then you find out, oh, gas fees. Everything was Ethereum based at the time. And then you pay like crazy gas fees. So unless you were dealing with really large amounts of money, which is not how I like to do stuff. I like to put little amounts of money in and like test it out. And then if it works really well, put large amounts of money, which is what I did with Tiny Man for a long time. But, You can't do that with Ethereum, and stuff just wouldn't work. But I was like, why is nobody talking about this? Because they weren't. Nobody was talking about this. It was crazy. I'd watch BitBoy Crypto every day. And I'm like, why? How are they not talking about this? And then all of a sudden, you know, after I started making my channel and I started talking about this stuff, you know, down the road when the gas fees got really, really high, then I started hearing people actually talking about it. But it took so long, I could never figure it out. And I guess it's like a lot of people in the space just aren't really that honest, and they're trying to shill their own bags and, you know, getting paid behind the scenes. In fact, Zach XPT had a really good breakdown of the kinds of money that people are getting. Green Blue says, I still don't know why I hold so much ETH. Well, I know why, because it still goes up in value. But there's a difference between holding it and then selling it when it's high and actually using it. So like Algorand, this happens every time I make my portfolio video. Everyone's like, well, where's Algorand? And I'm saying, like, I have no idea how to even go about determining whether I'm up or down in Algorand, because I bought so much. I bought NFTs. I played around in DeFi. I'm always swapping between stuff. You know, it's just impossible to keep track of, because I actually use Algorand. I don't just hold on to it to sell, which is what I do with ETH, what I do with others. So actually, I don't, you know, hold ETH. I hold ETH. I hold Solana. I don't use Solana, but I hold it. It's going to go up in price because it's popular. People like it. I had a tweet the other day that this is a hype-driven market. It is not based on fundamentals. If you think crypto right now is based in fundamentals, you're going to lose. You're just going to. Now, someday, I do think that eventually Algorand will win because it has good fundamentals. I think Hedera will win because it has good fundamentals. But what's going to pump this cycle? Probably Solana. You know, I'm actually way up on Solana. Solana is one of my best ones. XRP too. I don't know about XRP. I really go back and forth. I see a lot of stuff that I think, well, this makes a lot of sense. They're entrenching themselves with the right people. But then I see, why do they need the coin? They don't really need the coin. I don't know. But then is the coin just stock for a successful company? Like, look at Chainlink. I mean, they set it up so Chainlink is basically like a successful, the stock of a successful company. Because now if they sell services off chain, they actually put that money, or at least some of it, back into a Chainlink reserve, thus putting those profits back on chain. I think that's smart. I think everybody should be doing that. I mean, that's like pioneering stuff. That's why you wonder why I'm all of a sudden like really big about Chainlink. That one thing was like, whoa, that is awesome. Green Blue says, Chainlink's reserve gives me hope as a solution. Absolutely. Yeah, 100%. I think Algorand should get on Chainlink. Now, I've heard you got to pay for it. It's a cost, but you know what? That's a good cost. I personally think so. Maybe someone who knows all the details would know something I don't know, and maybe there's some reason why Algorand shouldn't, but as far as I can tell, I think that makes a lot of sense. All right, I got to get a drink of water here, and then we're going to go on our Hedera segment next. And I really appreciate everyone tuning in, by the way. Appreciate that a lot. I think we have a good show, and I appreciate it. If you haven't hit the like button already, please do so. You know what? I want to look at before we go on to our Hedera segment, I want to see how the leaderboard is shaping up here. Nice little audience, by the way. I appreciate you guys. By the way, was a little quiet earlier, and now we are kicking butts. Cloudy Vibes. Actually, we got a three-way tie now between Cloudy Vibes, Sean Vogel, and Green Blue Algo. So you guys got to light up that chat and work your way up the leaderboard. In fact, I'll even show you guys just so you can see. There you are. There you are. I paused it so it won't ruin the video, but so yeah, work hard and get yourself up there. Get yourself in that leaderboard. And what do we got? 11 likes? All right, I'd like to see that. Let's see if we can get up to 15 likes. That would be awesome. That'd be awesome. It really helps because it shares the video around. Also, if you have not subscribed already, a lot of you guys are subscribed. A lot of you guys are channel fans, and I appreciate that. I appreciate everyone. But yeah, we got, if you're new here, love it if you subscribe, support the channel. Actually, I had that twice, didn't I? Had that up in 2 different places. Let me set up my, oops, wrong tab here. Here we go. I just want to make sure I get the right one because I saved a bunch of them. Yeah, we'll start here. Alexi, welcome to the show. It says nobody thought utility coins were going to pump, but what happened? Algo pumped over 300% from 8 cents to 62 cents. You underestimate these coins. Algo hit $2 this December. ADO hit $4. Yeah, we're seeing a change. No, you're not wrong. We're seeing a change. Like, we saw a really nice pump from the utility coins. Hedera and Algo. Algo had a nice little pump, and so did Hedera. And then they've been flat since then. But we'll see, you know. You say 300%, but Solana went up like 1,000%. It went from like under $20 to over 200. But that, hey, I'm still not unhappy. Like, those are really good. Those are still good numbers. But someday, what I'm saying is, like, we'll have meme coins will be kind of a joke and no one will take them that seriously. And one day people will really love the utility coins. So, but yeah, I don't 100%. I do think the shift, I probably should have said that earlier. I do think the shift is happening. I think it's starting. I think next cycle, you're going to see it far more pronounced. Assuming we still have cycles, because there's some evidence that those are flattening. Anyway, okay, so like I always say, when I do one of my segments, I'm not going to respond to chats that aren't related to that segment until after the segment is over. So if you chat about something specific in the segment, I'll probably, address it. If it's related to the coin, I'll probably I'll probably still try to incorporate it in there somewhere. So if it's about Hedera, we'll talk about it. And then if it's like something like unrelated, I'll bring it up after the segment. So, well, you guys know with utility chains like Algorand and Hedera, I'm a big fan of both of these for something called payments. That sounds funny to say, but payments are, to me, one of the biggest and most obvious solutions that crypto brings to the world. I think that's awesome. But there's been some big major news for Hedera around payments and stablecoins. So let's look at this because I think this is huge news and it has to do with Wyoming. All right, Hedera was selected as the only, this is right from the Hedera Foundation. Hedera was selected as the only additional blockchain to be a candidate for Front during the commission's Q2 evaluation, having met stringent criteria for speed, reliability, and regulatory alignment. They got a score of 25, but I don't know the total points, so I don't know what that means. What were the other ones here? What is Front per Wyoming? A Wyoming stable token is a vital currency representative of and redeemable for $1 held in trust by the state of Wyoming as provided by this law. WS 4031-106. Stable tokens shall only be issued in exchange for US dollars. I guess I kind of wonder, like, what's the point of this? Why do you need a frontier stable token? We already have USDC. I mean, I guess more, more competition is fine, but I sort of wonder about a state having its own stable coin and what the point of that is, but maybe they talk about it. All right, in fact, they do. Let's see. Front can be sent to anyone with an internet connection. Yes. Transactions only cost a few cents or fractions of a penny. I mean, obviously that's a benefit. Front is available for use 24 hours a day. Yes. Transactions can settle in just seconds. Front can be sent directly from sender to recipient. Front transactions are immutable and provide instant audibility. But doesn't like USDC already do all that? I just wonder, I was hoping they talked about why they wanted it specifically. All right, so Front has been deployed on 7 blockchains: Arbitrum, Avalanche, Base, Ethereum, Optimism, Polygon, and Solana. You know, and this is why I'm glad they added Hedera. Apparently they just added that. But I want to know more about how they scored it. They don't say. That's crazy. I'm just trying to see if they talk about why. That's just so crazy to me. Why wouldn't you say more about... But we can look at the thing here. So it was approved. So the director's recommendation was to approve it. And they approve WYST may be launched in the future. So is there a new one coming out? I'm very confused about this. I want to see if there's more here. Now, see, no, they say from front. It's front, not... Oh, that's the Wyoming Stable Token Commission. I see. Maybe we can see more on this blog. I wish they had talked about this a little more in the thing. Let's see. It will be soon available on Hedera. Selected for front during it was a Q2 evaluation. So criteria for speed, reliability, and regulatory alignment. I know why Algorand might not have met. The regulatory part, I think, is key, and I bet they have to be US based. That's just my theory, but... Well, anyway, that's the speed reliability. I mean, Algorand would fit that too. And Hedera absolutely fits that, for sure. I'm just trying to read through and see if there's a... Let's see. Hedera was chosen for front because it delivers what modern payments require: fast settlement, predictable costs, and trust. Oh, predictable costs. Now, that might be an issue for Algorand. That might be an issue for Algorand because the prices do fluctuate. And I remember, like, Hedera really likes, you know, so Hedera has a fixed transaction cost. So no matter what the price of the token is, it doesn't matter. That might be finalized in seconds. Well, Algorand's actually instantly final, but it makes sense. Fixed fees, making it suitable for everything from retail to tax refunds to real-time disaster relief and instant public payroll systems. Interesting. They like the carbon negative, which Algorand also is, and, you know, capable of processing 10K per second, but that really hasn't been tested in the real world. I will say Algorand has actually exceeded this, delivering that scale and sustainability needed for real-world finance wallets. Hedera Council governance model ensures regulatory alignment and long-term stability. I really think the fixed fee is the maker here, but don't those other coins, the other coins don't though, right? Ethereum does not have fixed fees, so that's super interesting. Because remember, do I have that pulled up? No, I don't. Shoot. Sorry, I don't have that pulled up, but yeah, that's very surprising to me. Well, I mean, great for Hedera. If fee stability is an issue, I don't see how Ethereum made the cut here. I don't know where are all the tokens here. Yeah. So I don't know about I know Solana has very low fees, but I don't think they're fixed fees. I don't think any of these except Hedera have fixed fees, but I could be wrong. I admit I don't know a lot about all of these chains. And like reliability, Solana, come on. Solana is like the least reliable of all of these. That I really don't understand. I'm very perplexed by that. I will, to say the least. Like, if you want reliability, Solana would not be on my list. Like, how many times has it been the network been down? It's been a little better lately, and then all the failed transactions. I'm very shocked by that. I'm starting to wonder if maybe there's a little pay to play here going on. You know, maybe some people on the commission are getting some tokens in their wallet or something. Hedera, I'm a big fan of Hedera, you know? I'm absolutely a big fan of Hedera, so I don't hate that. But given what they said was important, if they said low predictable fees and reliability are important, that should exclude Ethereum and it should exclude Solana. So I don't know. I can understand it because I see, you know, Cloudy Vibes saying like, why HBAR, why not Algo? I think HBAR is a good choice. I just don't think that, and I think Algo would have been a good choice. I don't think Ethereum or Solana are good choices by any means, but that's really interesting. I got a little more Hedera news, by the way. So let's go back. Yeah, just one more. Shouting that out again. HBAR Bull apparently is now on the Saucer Swap team as the ecosystem correspondent and media host. Now, I will say he does a pretty good job. Hedera Bull does a good job. He's also like, I believe he was originally paid by, he's not anymore. He says not endorsed by or affiliated with Hedera, but I think he was in the beginning, if I recall correctly. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure he was in the beginning. He certainly had really good access. I think that's what it was, but yeah, it's great to be working with the team responsible for the platform I use daily, says HBAR Bull. King Solomon, friend of the channel, says congrats, as does Coinman, the HBarbarian. Some people I'm familiar with, so yeah, good to see that. Congrats on the roll, HBAR Bull, and I have been following him. He does not follow me back. I think he should start, but you know, what do I know? And that's the same thing. I think that's it. Oh, there's a new wallet, and we can look at this really quick. HBAR Tata says new wallet coming to the Hedera ecosystem, and that is Zero Wallet, and a ZKP privacy first, seedless and gasless smart wallet. How does that work? It's a zero seed phrases. We should follow them. I'll follow them. Zero seed phrases, one-click onboarding, ZK-powered identity, and gasless transactions. That's crazy. How did they do that? Looks like they had a little thing for the OG badge, but that's already gone. I don't care about that stuff. I really don't. Yeah, Cloudy Vibe says, I thought the same thing. Someone getting paid to pick these coins. Well, I don't know how else. Alexi saying Sol not going to pump so much more this cycle, maybe 1-2x. Well, you mean 2x, because 1x would be, it stays the same. And those that hasn't pumped 1,000% yet this year, will this year yet. Watch out for fourth quarter for sure, you know, and that goes for Hedera. I'm up like 5x on Hedera right now. Well, hold on, probably 4. I think it's down around 20 cents. So around 4x right now. That's pretty good. Yeah, we'll definitely be checking out this wallet though. This seems really cool. Maybe depending on what other features they have. I've actually got a little bit of you know, crypto fatigue. Like, it's really hard for me now to check out something new. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to get me to check out something new because there's so much stuff and it takes like time to figure out and get used to and learn and download and read about. And so there's got to be like a really compelling case for me to read about something. Whew. You got almost 50 people watching. I kind of want to see what Eleanor has to say. So maybe we'll, oh, Cloudy Vibe says, Lemeo. Yeah, I thought the same thing. Someone getting paid to pick these coins. Well, it just doesn't make sense if those are your criteria, and you should have stringent criteria. That makes a lot of sense, but I don't see how you can have that stringent criteria and then come to Ethereum that specifically, like, Ethereum's the worst for fee predictability. Are you kidding me? And then Solana with all its outages and its failed transactions, I don't see how that works, but okay. Yeah, let's see what Eleanor has to say. We'll watch this a little bit, and then I think we'll call it a day.
To talk. We're definitely going to talk to him about all the work they've been doing. So really appreciate you coming on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Mike. Yes, well, as Gerald mentioned, another big story we've been tracking is Galaxy Digital becoming the first company to tokenize its shares using the Solana blockchain. It fits into the increasingly popular trend of tokenization, which is obviously we just discussed with Mike, but it's an accelerating trend on Wall Street as well. So to talk more on this, let's bring in Alex Zozos, the general counsel at fintech company Superstate, to discuss its partnership with Galaxy Digital offering GLXY on the Solana blockchain. Alex, welcome to the show.
So happy to be here, and yeah, that was like a pep talk from Mike there, and happy to dive in and chat further. Just want to preface this as also say, go Birds for all those celebrating now that football season is upon.
All right, so they're saying that Solana first is. They were saying the Solana is the first tokenization of Galaxy. I want to see if that's what he says. Oops.
A midday show for
we don't like it
our
either.
Friday friends. Yeah. Alex, we would love to kind of get a rundown from you. Obviously, starting on Wednesday, Galaxy stockholders can tokenize their shares using Superstate's Opening Bell platform. Yes, this sounds very cool in theory, and there's a lot of talk out there about tokenization, but why does it actually matter to tokenize these stocks? And how do you how do you see this changing the way adoption transpires in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, again, so happy to be here. And I would say it is such an exciting time in the space. And what we did on Wednesday is a significant milestone in bringing to fruition, what Chairman Atkins announced in Project Crypto, which is bringing the analog markets on chain. And so what we did at Superstate with our Opening Bell platform in partnering with Galaxy is actually brought real shares. Like instead of opening up your Robinhood account, you're opening up your self-custodial wallet, and the exact same shares are now available in your self-custodial wallet.
This drives me nuts because they did it. This happened first on Algorand with Galaxy, and they were going around saying, "Oh, we're the first one to do that." No, you're not. It happened on Algorand first in 2024, by the way.
Is really evolving the ownership format and bringing the actual shares on chain. And we're doing this through Opening Bell as the transfer agent. And so what that means is,
by the way, he didn't say that, but they said that on some of the Solana people were saying that. Some pretty big names were saying that.
The new one that we're enabling is this tokenized version, which enables you to move them around and then leverage the DeFi primitives that exist that have been built up over the next 10 years. Over the last 10 years. So there's a lot that can come from this, but from a starting point, we've tokenized the shares of Galaxy, and would love to get into where that can lead and what we're thinking.
Yeah, so Alex, I want to take a step back. We've had this conversation before about, even towards the beginning of the year, there was this debate about what's going to happen first, right? Are we going to get a lot more crypto products into TradFi wrappers, or are we going to get tokenization of traditional financial products like securities? And you guys at Superstate have always believed in this mission of, the ability to tokenize. We saw a lot of momentum with the ETFs, trading, underlying crypto assets. We've seen this kind of DApp mania. We then saw, as Mike mentioned, kind of Robinhood and Republic put these private secondary tokens out there. I think they call them mirror tokens, but not necessarily truly tokenized public equities. What was it like working with Galaxy, and what makes Superstate unique in the ability to actually bring a publicly traded equity on chain? Like, and just what's different about that process for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I welcome all forms of innovation. Obviously, Commissioner Peirce has come out with some statements that's, talking about how a security is a security, and just because you say you put it on a blockchain doesn't change, its obligations in nature. But the way others are kind of approaching the way that some others are approaching tokenization is kind of having a separate or derivative token that provides more or less economic exposure, rather than as if you actually own the underlying shares. And this is where I think, some people have called them like so-called securities, or call them wrappers or things like that. We think that carries forward a lot of the risks from TradFi with regard to settlement risks and counterparty risk, and does introduce, fragmentation. Whereas what we're doing is actually creating a direct registration, essentially, of the shares in your name on the books and records of the issuer. And so,
By the way, this is already happening. Also, besides Exodus, we had Ondo this week just announced their global markets. Well, they'll have 1-to-1 shares for all these on-chain, on-tokenize, all these shares of different companies on-chain. So they did that too. So Solana's like not, and it's fine. You know, more chains can all do this. That's great. I just got really annoyed at the idea that this is unique to them compared to other people. It's ridiculous. And he's not necessarily, he is kind of suggesting that. He doesn't outright say it. He's kind of suggesting, and they're all kind of talking about it as if this is brand new. It's not. But, well, you can see, look at their sponsors. Avalanche, Say, and Solana. I don't see Algorand on there, or Hedera, or Ondo.
roll this out further at Superstate. But to the extent you tokenize your shares, you can de-tokenize your shares and change those back and take them back into TradFi. And so like, that is how we view this evolution to evolve, really, is to not fully displace, but create additional alternatives. And so we think, you know, we're in alignment with the commission, you know, let the market decide. And that's really going to be, you know, is TradFi and the intermediated infrastructure, is that where we think things should go and stay? Or is this new, innovative, blockchain-led technology, is there additional utility there? Is there more direct ownership? Is that where we think people will want to go? Obviously, like for right now, it's limited in what you can do. With Galaxy, we've only unlocked, you know, peer-to-peer transactions, but even that is such a crazy unlock, right? Like, imagine like going in and trying to send a share of anything to anyone else, right? Like, you can't do that because you have to go through like 6 different layers of intermediaries. And so like, even now, just having the shares on your self-custodial wallet and enabling the ability to transfer on a peer-to-peer basis is fantastic. But we're definitely viewing this as a starting point because we're working directly with the crypto task force. We're part of this initiative and coalition called Project Open, where we're working with a number of industry players in the Solana ecosystem to bring to bear, you know, in a fully regulated way, you know, the financial primitives that exist on chain, like automated market makers. And that's like fully different and unique, that doesn't exist in TradFi. And so we're providing the bridge as this transfer agent to allow you both as an issuer and as an investor to say, hey, I want to tokenize my shares. And these aren't digital twins. These aren't anything. These are like the exact same share that you would have. And then once we, you know, get regulatory comfort, you know, really allow for the tools and the use cases that have been evolving over time to use those with more, you know, intrinsic value securities and assets. And so like right now, the crypto market is 3 trillion and like the traditional market is 60 trillion.
4 trillion.
We think there's really, at the end of the day, it's going to be like the entire market has the additional choice, and all of that is going to be combined into one pie.
All right. Yeah, I'm kind of bored of that. I think he's right. I think his last point is actually totally correct, that this is going to be huge. Green Blue says XRP, you just need Rabbit token holders to outpace the sales by the team, I guess. Well, yep. Interesting point Green Blue made about Algorand nodes. I kind of feel like that too, but like for ready pools, it's sure easy just to like throw it on there and kind of forget about it. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of a big fan of that. So I've been using that. I was using Tinyman DeFi, and it really kind of screwed me, actually. Green Blue says I want to buy Starbucks with my Starbucks shares. That'd be interesting. Partnered show crypto treasuries. We've got a Mario Nafal crypto show. Interesting. I need to get going with the rest of my day, so I appreciate everyone tuning in. I think we had a really fun show today. That Solana thing is probably something I should have covered actually in more depth, but we kind of covered it with their live stream, and actually that was a perfect time to join in because they actually were talking about just that. he kind of talked about it as if it were brand new. It's not. I mean, they may have different mechanisms, but this has already happened. Algorand did this last year with Exodus. So it's crazy that they're trying to pretend this is all brand new, but people did actually, in fact, I might have did I bookmark it? I always say I'm going to leave and then I don't. Maybe I didn't. I might not have, I should have bookmarked it. That would have been a good one to talk about. Yeah, there were people saying that this is, you know, that this is brand new on Solana, that this never happened before. And I'm like, yes, it actually did. In fact, they got community noted, so big deal. But all right, guys, you know, I appreciate everyone tuning in today. Thanks so much for watching. We had a pretty good audience toward the end there. I like to see that. Nice little kick and YouTube audience, as well as on X. X got up to almost 50, a little bit lower than usual on X, actually. X usually grows a lot bigger, but appreciate everyone tuning in. Let's see who won the, I almost forgot. Let me see who won the lot. The leaderboard here, my guess tie. Let's see what it says. Cloudy Vibes, the big winner with 150 experience points, and Alexi and Sean Vogel tied for second with 75. Actually, technically, Green Blue also had 75 XP. So y'all are number 2, and they do rank them. So I don't know how they get the rank, but technically, Alexi was second, Sean was third, and Green Blue was fourth. But y'all had 75, so I guess it's a horse apiece. I know super chats get higher than that, so that's fun too. But all right, yeah, my voice is going. It is going, so we're just gonna call it a day here. But guys, I really appreciate you tuning in. Thanks so much for watching. Stay safe out there. Really, September, I think September is just going to be kind of weak, and then October through December I think is going to be huge. So keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for that, because I think that's going to be a big deal. And thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you're doing well out there. Stay safe, and as always, I will see you